The CBS 13 News at 10 starts with breaking news.
A senseless killing in Sacramento County. 5 dead in a church shooting, including 3 children.
It is a church with a pastor calling in, reporting there's an active shooting at a church.
The gunshots during a supervised visit, a father murdering his 3 kids and the person supervising the visit then taking his own life. Thanks for joining us this Monday night. I'm Curtis Ming.
And I'm Elizabeth Kling. We're also streaming live right now on CBS News Sacramento.
And here's what we know at this hour. The church is simply called The Church in Sacramento on Wida Way near Ethan Way. This is just east of the Art and Fair Mall. The father shot his 3 daughters. Then the chaperone, reported to be a pastor, before killing himself.
Within the last 2 hours, we've learned the mother of those kids had a restraining order against him.
We have team coverage on this devastating shooting. Let's begin with CBS 13's Steve Large, giving us our first pictures of that church. Steve?
And I'll start with this. The scene, some 5 hours after this tragedy played out, the police and sheriff's department had set up this small perimeter on the block where this church is located. And tonight we're learning the shooting played out inside the church in a targeted domestic violence attack. A house of worship turned murder scene. Sacramento sheriff's deputies are now combing through the grounds of the church in Sacramento, piecing together the tragic shooting inside.
My understanding, it was in the main sanctuary part of it, like in a conference room of some sort. I don't have any reports of, bullets leaving the property.
A church worker initially heard the gunshots and ran from the building to report them.
If you saw anything suspicious or were witness to the incident on Wida.
As police descended on the area, a helicopter hovered overhead using a loudspeaker asking for the public's help. An armored vehicle, fire trucks, and dozens of squad cars from many agencies surrounded the neighborhood, the threat to the public safety ending when deputies confirmed their suspect was dead.
My understanding is at this point that this male subject, adult subject, shot and killed his 3 children in this church.
The ages of the 3 children, 13, 10, and 9, all girls. Sheriff Scott Jones confirms it happened during a supervised visit between the children and their father, and that the father was the subject of a restraining order by his estranged wife. One of the victims was the person supervising the visit. And right now, the sheriff's office is not releasing the name of the suspect or the victims. They say they will likely be out here well into the night processing this scene.
All right, Steve Large reporting live for us. Thanks, Steve. And tonight, Governor Newsom responding to the shooting, saying, quote, another senseless act of gun violence in America, this time in our backyard, in a church with kids inside. Absolutely devastating. Our hearts go out to the victims, their families, and their communities. We are working closely with local law enforcement.
We continue our team coverage with CBS 13's Valina Jones at the scene with what witnesses told her. Valina?
Yeah, still a large police presence here tonight, and I spoke to witnesses who live just down the block from where this church is located. Now, a neighbor who lives nearby, he's still shaken tonight knowing that this was a fatal shooting that took the life of 3 kids.
That's messed up. Praying for the other family members and maybe whoever lives over there. And God rest their souls, you know what I mean?
Now tonight we're learning more details about what happened inside the church before those shots were fired. A witness who's talking exclusively to CBS 13 tonight tells me she was sitting outside of the church and called police after a man ran outside of the church and frantically approached her. According to that man, the father we now know is the shooter was at the church for a supervised visit with his 3 children when the shooting started. The witness, who we spoke to by phone, did not want to be identified. Take a listen to what she had to say.
We heard the gunshots, and then 2 minutes after that, the man came running. So that's when he's running up to the car saying, call the police, call the police. They're in the church shooting. There's a guy and his 3 daughters, and he's visiting with his 3 daughters and the pastor. There's somebody in the church shooting. He was in complete shock. He was like gasping for air. He leaned up against my car a few times just trying to balance himself. He was shaking. I'm lost for words, honestly, beyond being devastated.
The sheriff's office is not identifying the individuals involved, but the witness says that man claimed he was the only other person inside the church during the time that the father was there for visitation, aside from the pastor.
Such a tragic night.